Cool. Let's start once we hit like 125, 130.
Sure.
Cool. In the meantime, you guys can find the chat on the left-hand side of your screen. There's something known as no mic. Go there and put in whatever message is there for you. And yeah, if you're on your phone, then swipe right from the left corner of your screen. And again, scroll a bit. You'll find a monkey emoji and a no mic. Just go there, put in hi, and then so that we just know that you're there. And yeah, that will be the chat. So if there are any questions that you guys have, put it over there. Chandan will take it up. If there's anything that you want to ask to Aman or to the staff or literally anything, then just put it over there. Check it out. And meanwhile, while you're there on that chat, check out all the other chats we have. A lot of these skill-based chats as well. So if you're into coding, then check out coding, programming, development, open source, and Linux and finance and all sorts of things, right? You can keep scrolling and see everything related to your interest. Since this is the startup week, you can also go to Startup Talks. There are a lot of resources that are linked there, and you can check them out. There are a lot of jobs as well on the jobs and internships channel, so check them out as well later on. We've hit 142. I'll move off the stage. Just completely over to you, Chandan and Aman. All the best.
Thanks, Viraj. Aman, so let's get started.
Yes.
What do you say?
Let's start.
All right. So before we start, I just want to, let's say, do this crowd thing, which I generally do. Guys, we right now have 165 people listening to me. 170 people, we've hit it. So I really want you to say, okay, just type number 1 if you're here listening to me. Are you pumped up? Because this session is going to be a pure impressive stuff that I'm looking at. And we all looking forward to. Okay. Aman, you can see the chat, right?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you. So at the left, you can find even state. Just above it, there is a monkey emoji followed by no mic written.
No mic.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Oh my.
So that's where everybody is chatting.
Cool.
Okay, perfect. I believe this is where we start. All right. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to BlueLearn's event. BlueLearn's event has always been looked up in super, let's say, content-rich spaces. But today's session is going to be more casual. At the same time, the person whom we have today, Aman. Aman, you might have already seen him on the big screen in terms of being a person from Shark Tank, the founder of Thinkerbell Labs. And of course, you already have seen that episode. More importantly, let's make this conversation as casual and as natural as possible. Going forward, let's get started.
Sure. How would you like to start this? What would you like to know?
Aman, so let's talk about this specific question. You started Thinkerbell Labs very out of college, right? When you were in the third year?
Yeah. I started Thinkerbell Labs. We were actually called Project Mudra back in college. For almost 2.5 years, we worked as Project Mudra as an independent research project based out of BITS Goa. And we started Thinkerbell Labs in 2016, right after graduating. So yeah, 2.5 years plus 5 years now.
So basically, the previous name Mudra means imprint.
Mudra means symbols, actually. So what we, the original idea was that is what Sanskriti and I researched on in college as well. It was actually, can we speeden up the way or speeden up the process of learning for a visually impaired student through multimodal. Yeah, so won't go into the details of that, but we essentially researched, can we teach visually impaired children faster? What does it take to do that, to accomplish that? And Mudra means symbols, and Braille is the script that visually impaired students use all over the world. So that's how the whole thing started. It was called Project Mudra because it was supposed to teach them Braille as quickly as possible.
Understood. Okay, so let's take a few steps back. So, how did you think that this is the sector that you want to get in? This is the sector that you want to disrupt into? Like, where did this start?
So, if I'm being very honest, we actually had many ideas in college. We experimented with it with a few. We had a lot of mentors who advised us on which one is the most, let's just say, novel, which one is the most feasible with respect to, because we wanted to make a business. We wanted to do a startup where it would be sustainable, it would grow, and it wouldn't just be something the user needs, but there is no market for it. So the way this actually happened was, in the third and fourth year we would apply to a lot of awards and big business plan competitions. So essentially that's where we got started. One of the awards that we won was the Great Tech Rocket Ships. It's by the Department of International Trade, UK. And what happened there was, that's where the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge came and used Annie. That's the first time we had actually made Annie. So that's suddenly we got so much traction, so much secondary, primary traction, so much interest from investors, so many people wanted to know what we're up to, and also investor interest even before we have actually incorporated a company. So yeah, it sort of got that's how we jumped into it. We realized that this was the highest amount of impact we could create with the skill set that we had at the point.
Got it. So, okay, if it was not, let's say, solutions in the space of Braille, what would it be? What is another thing that you have on top of your mind?
I've always wanted to work in education. I think one of the few problems we have worked on is we worked on a campus search program, like a helping students make decisions what college to choose. We worked on that. We've also worked on a bunch of very cool NLP stuff back in college, speech recognition as well. So yeah, I mean, initially when we started Mudra, it was also speech recognition. You say anything and it goes and it converts into Braille. So speech to Braille was also a part of our initial kitty. So that's where we were coming from. We were just playing around with a lot of things at that point of time. Raspberry Pi being one of them, and I would say one of the most influential things was understanding that this credit card size computer could do so much, which was not previously possible. I think those were a few things we were exploring at the time. But yeah, I think one of the key points were one of the conferences that we went to in Canada. There we met a few teachers from the United States, and they were all of the opinion that if you are making something like this, in the States people buy this just because if the student needs it, the government pays for it. So that's where we started exploring the idea of a market for it, and that's how we essentially started off.
Got it. So, let's say, as you previously mentioned, in the space of helping students, and the government idea of, let's say, if a person pays for it, if a child pays for it, then let's say the government is ready to pay for it. And what do you think about the government's role in this blowing up? Where do you see the big picture of Tinker Labs?
Okay, very, very good question. I do see that policy as well as progressive governments world over will be one of our biggest customers. I think I do see that certain kinds of policies, especially with respect to inclusive education, and I mean everybody keeps talking about inclusive education, but we are actually not there yet. Like the teachers aren't trained to to cater to the needs of a visually impaired child. There are no teaching aids, and Yeah, and that's where the policy making comes into play. uh, that if the right government, the right, if they adopt these things, then it also gets more attention from customers. Regulators also have a huge role to play. For example, where the regulation, like let's just say the third party which decides what schools are great or not. uh, Very similar to how five-star hotels with ramps are considered, with ramps and accessible toilets are, that's the only way they get five-star status, right? So that something parallel to that needs to be done in inclusive education, and I think the governments world over will play a huge role. um,
Definitely,
okay.
Aman. I mean, I see the point where you compare a restaurant to what really makes it to go to that high standard is this additional, let's say, small difference. Exactly. And where do you see, let's say, India in this space? And after this, we go straight to the questions that people have been asking, let's say, in the space of the Shark Tank.
Of course. So I think in India also, I've had the honor to work with some really great bureaucrats, very innovative, forward-thinking people who truly do want to make a change in the country, which is very refreshing to see. Because we've had this perspective that the government doesn't move, and a lot of perspectives have been there, and I think this is, we've had a very fresh, uh, we've had such great partners in the government, who in India as well, who want to change this at the grassroots level. They want that a child in a remotest district of the country should have the same quality of education as someone studying in the UK. So, and I think that has been critical for our initial success in India as well.
Got it. Okay, so one last question. Where do you see, do you think, let's say, on a global perspective, we have EDX, we have resources from Stanford and Harvard providing the best in class education. But how do we solve this problem as language as a barrier to, let's say, to the remotest places in our country?
Oh, language is a huge barrier, and I mean, I think there's a huge gap right now with respect to language and engagement specifically. Like, I mean, MOOCs did revolutionize the world, but I think where it sort of failed or isn't up to the mark is the engagement of it. The fallout rates of MOOCs is very high and very rightly captured. Like, one of the key factors over there is relatability and language. So I think that's a huge space, it's a huge opportunity in India to cater to that, because there's a lot of people who want to learn. And I think that's what I see. I am very glad so many edtech companies are coming out of college, like especially our campus. So very happy about that. And there's a huge need here, like especially in the country, for people who are vernacular first, because India works on the mother tongue. Like, in the first 2 months of our field trials, we realized that अगर बच्चा अपनी लैंग्वेज में नहीं सीखेगा तो उसको कुछ समझ में नहीं आने वाला. लाइक, उसको मदर टंग में ही बताना है कि अच्छा, हिंदी में जब बच्चा सीखेगा तब जाके उसको समझ में आएगा. एंड that's the truth, that's the only thing that people often, we focus on a very small percentage if we are English first in India, especially when it comes to edtech.
Got it. Got it. We definitely see the point over there. Okay, let's go to the question that all of everybody's been asking for. How was the experience overall? Like, tell me the entirety of being in, let's say, Shark Tank. So yeah,
So
I see a lot of questions pouring down.
okay. So Shark Tank was exciting. It's a very long and strenuous shooting. It took 1 to 1.5 hours to shoot that episode. It's all live. There are no retakes. And it's sort of like compressing 3 to 4 meetings with an investor in a single meeting. They're just live shooting. They're asking questions left, right, and center, and then outside of that, they just show like 8 to 10 minutes out of that 90 to 95 minutes that they've actually captured. So obviously what you see on TV is different from what actually happens, but it definitely is doing a huge thing in India to democratize on entrepreneurship and the discourse on entrepreneurship overall. I think that is critical. Everybody's talking about it. It's dinner table conversation now. My parents are asking, "Okay, what is your CSE? Why is it so high?" So yeah, why are you not raising more money? And that it's good. These questions are great. And so we had a very good experience. We got on board three sharks who we really wanted. We wanted, Piyush, Namita, and Anupam, and we really were very happy that we got all of them. Okay, I think some people are asking if Shark Tank takes a stake. No, they do not take a stake. Only the investors do. Is it okay? Is it okay if I answer the questions?
Sure. We can go ahead with that. And also, people, okay, you mentioned that what you see on screen, there is a lot more to that. As you said, like 1.5 hour ka shooting hota hai. So what, like, is there anything more important happens behind the screen?
Yeah, I mean, imagine karo, right? Like, so these are high profile investors, right? They have been investing for a while. So now you see that what the show is gonna show. Show is going to like broadcast things which are easy to understand for everyone. Show's not gonna broadcast the technical questions, the numbers questions. They're not gonna go heavy on that. So yeah, so it that's the difference. That the show is different. What comes to TV is slightly different from what actually happens. I mean, the amount of discussion and the detail that they go into, it is definitely that they are making that decision. One, they are taking their time, they are asking all sorts of questions, and I think 2 minute no decision liya, that obviously feels very good to show on TV. But yeah.
So people are asking, what advices have you followed from Shark Tank in your business? Like, what have you implemented? So tell me something, Aman. Let's say now when you go out, people would definitely recognize you in terms of Tinker Labs, the amount of virality it has all gained. So how does it feel? Like, do people really see and say that, hey, this is Aman?
I don't think so. But yeah, I think a few people have started recognizing the company as well as the product, which I'm very happy about. Definitely, that's one of the biggest pluses of Shark Tank for any entrepreneur going on to the, because it is like TV today is still one of the biggest, like it just exponential. So for us, yes, there has been attention has increased. And I mean, I don't think itna zyada ho gaya hai ki people are recognizing us, but they are definitely recognizing the brand and the company. That has increased for sure.
Got it. So, Aman, let's talk about the product where you see in terms of, let's say, post Shark Tank, there's going to be a lot of entrepreneurial boom that's going to start in here, right? Especially in our country. It's a big wave.
Yeah.
Do you see a next level of entrepreneurs being started right now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because of this, small towns, cities that we have not paid attention to, will also start, getting the access as well as knowledge required to do things. I mean, and also, I think what India does really well is we are really highly skilled, and being such a diverse country, it is obviously going to, we are the ones who can solve our problems the best. So I do really think, and I'm really bullish on India, and huge products coming out of the country. And obviously we're seeing a few already going global. So I honestly think that this is going to change next 5 years we're gonna change see a very different country from what it is right now.
Got it. So people are asking about the sectors that you're expecting to boom in the next, let's say, in the near future.
People don't like 10-minute delivery, I think. But yeah, I think the sectors that I think will definitely boom is I think there's a lot to do in education. There's a lot to do in careers for sure. I think that's an unbundling which is yet to happen. Careers is not yet sorted. Test prep, there's enough in test prep, but within edtech careers, I would say definitely needs more bandwidth. Also, last mile education needs that needs to be solved, and I do think someone will focus on that. um, and yeah, so I think those within edtech, that's the scene. Outside of edtech, anything which helps remote work, I think at this point we know that a pandemic exists, and that's something we did not really take into consideration before starting, right? So I think anything which allows people to work remotely, be productive, I think that will obviously have some kind of a boom. And yeah, I personally am very bullish about AR as well.
Definitely, the big picture of AR just is limitless.
Yeah.
But as per the timeline, when do you see people really using to a level which a phone has been penetrated right now?
Oh, with AR, it's going to take some time. We need to not only have the ecosystem of AR, the supply chain of it, the adoption will only start after the supply chain makes sure that the consumption device, like for AR, is cheap enough that anybody can take. Yeah, but I do think it will happen. For example, 90s mein the mobile phones were 30-40K, but people would still buy like the big Nokia phone, or like end of 90s or early 2000s, people would still buy mobile phones, right? So I think it will start in the next 2-3 years itself. Will start, but I think it might take around 10 years to reach the kind of craze that is there. Yeah, with the phone, like with the phone which is penetrated so much now, I think utna time to thoda bhi it's still far with AR, but yeah, still very exciting. Both mixed reality, VR and AR, whatever is going on here.
And exactly, that's where a lot of apps have to, the entire ecosystem has to be built, right?
Yeah, I think ecosystem, as you mentioned, is key, especially when it comes to AR. Like an ecosystem of developers who are building for it, a small group of users at least using it, making the business model viable. Yeah, very excited of at least with things like Magic Leap. What they're gonna do. Um, I am so. Can I just answer this one? I think people have been asking this.
Sure. Yeah, I've been saying that. I was about to ask that. Go for it.
ठीक है. So which one? Okay. What would I be doing if not Thinkerbell? Oh, I would definitely be working still in education. Maybe I would be working on the careers aspect. Who knows? Huge problem to solve. Which category? Mm, okay. Yeah. So the price wala question. I'm so glad people are asking. So of course we are very aware of the price. We set it. So the very different. Our product is in two variants. It's called the Yanni Smart Class and Yanni Resource Center. And the India price is actually it gets amortized over multiple students. So the price never actually comes to that much, and no student ever actually pays that much. And I mean, Ashneer's advice, I mean, sure, they was great. We have been working on something of the sort already. So in other countries, we have a Kindle type of model where not Kindle exactly, Kindle Unlimited more like, where the hardware is priced separately and the software is a subscription separately. So that is already in play. In India, however, because of collections, because of other issues, we haven't been able to, roll out en masse, something which completely depends on, um, because India people are still more comfortable paying for uh, hardware. They're just, if they see something tangible, something atomic, they are much more, comfortable paying for it. Um, as of now, the comfort of paying for software isn't as much. And since we are not strictly a consumer device, we are an enterprise and government company. So because of which, our customer really, as of now, cares more about, uh, yeah, they see the hardware and then they want to pay. So making them pay for software and recurring subscription is going to be a big challenge. Yeah, but we are definitely exploring that. How do you find the right partner? It's a very, very good question. I think, of course, you can invest. Yeah, let's talk. um, yeah, so with respect to the right partner, I think that would be critical. If there are many college students here, I would highly suggest um, doing projects with your friends, doing different projects where you're learning things. And I think that is one key thing I miss the most, because if I had to do it all over again, I don't know where I would find more great people to work with. And the entrepreneurial journey is really, really difficult. So I would highly suggest, while in college, you build things together, you work on projects, whether it's research or freelancing or anything. And that's how you find the right partners, and that you have to try. You have to yeah, you have to do some trial and error. And yeah, I think college is a great time for that. You have to, you can find the right partners for starting up in college.
There are questions with regards to in how many months will you be doing the IPO?
Oh, I think it's gonna take some time.
So there are these questions with regards to, let's say, if this is a problem that you are going to choose for the next 10 years, how to know that this is the right problem? Like, how did you come into a conclusion that this is it?
That's a very good question. So I think uh, that's important, right? Like, commitment is important because it takes time for anything to manifest, anything to truly come to fruition and start showing results. So for us, what had changed was, once we started realizing that there is some market for it, we were very clear that, given we are so ahead of other companies in this space, we wanted to build for this, because we saw a few gaps which are very suited for our approach. Well, now you call those gaps connected learning, remote learning today, but like when we started, it was still like, in MOOCs were in the infancy and stuff. So I do think that उस point पे we thought कि अच्छा, okay, if we do a connected ecosystem of connected ecosystem would change the way visually impaired students learn all over the world. So that's how we chose it. Obviously, the impact that it created, that's how we sort of stuck onto it. That's what encouraged us. And I think one of the most important factors to do a startup rather than money is what do you want? Like, do you want, because especially if what kind of what is your motivation? Because if your motivation is to learn the most, then I feel starting up or working in an early stage startup is one of the fastest ways to learn things. And I think we were optimizing for that.
Aman. There is this one question repeating. What's your say on government jobs?
I have the greatest respect for government jobs, of course. Like, IAS obviously has far-reaching, a huge amount of impact on the kind of people that they're governing, a huge amount of power as well. Yeah, my dad was in the Air Force, so huge amount of respect for the government jobs. I would say definitely, if you wanna, I think I just saw. Oh, yes, we have met Namita and Piyush yet. We haven't met Anupam yet after the show. Yes, we've had detailed discussions with them with respect to how they'll be helping going ahead. Yeah, we've had discussions on everything with respect to distribution, investment, their forte, all sorts of things. As of now, we'll see. We see a lot of synergy. We see a lot of potential with Lenskart as well. So, uh, yeah, let's hope that some big things are in the works. Current market situation.
Interesting question. They talk
Yeah.
about the current market situations where should they look at capturing, let's say, acquiring market, or should they look at profitability as a factor?
A very good question. I do think. Look, entrepreneurs' priority should be what they want to do. Honestly speaking, you can put like market share. I would say in the cases where your technology is new and you have to, like it's sort of like going to be a one winner sort of game. If you perceive it that way, maybe you should. But like in that chase for market share, there is a lot that, your machine or the system that you're building may not be sustainable. So I think it really depends on the entrepreneur. Current market situation, I'd love to understand what you mean by current market situation. Do you mean that people are throwing money around? Is that what you mean? Then in that case, you must be even more clear. Like, तुम्हें क्या करना है? That is the most important part. And I mean, the question I'm asking everyone on my team as well as me almost every other, what do we want to do? And that's the most important part. One of the one of the biggest reasons why people choose entrepreneurship is because of it's a high agency thing, right? You get to choose what you want to do every day and how you want to do it. So I think I just saw how do you do your first sales. Okay, the first sale happened because of completely random. There was no method to it. First sale was we're pitching at an event. One of the judges were potential. He was the chief secretary or one of the secretaries of Jharkhand. So that's how it. The first sale happened like that, and he connected us to a very innovative IS officer based in Ranchi, and he sort of got it done. So that's how the first sale happened, completely on its own. Learned business thing from scratch. Well, by doing it, like a lot of learning by doing has happened. Yeah, what the truth is, you cannot learn everything that a business requires, because some things you are going to make something new in the world, right? uh, and you're going to do it for the very first time, so you cannot learn everything and then do something. You have to learn on the go.
Aman, people are asking about your childhood. How was it?
My childhood was very interesting. I changed 9 schools. I, as a result of it, I have many friends all over the country, and yeah, seen many places. Yeah, it was very interesting. A lot of fun growing up. Yeah, Army, Air Force background. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting to hear. 9 schools. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so people are asking about hiring. How do you know that this is a set of people that you're going to work with? Yeah.
So,
How do you see the right talent?
very good question. I'm also gonna shamelessly plug here. We are hiring, right? Both interns and full timers. Okay, done. I'm got that question now. So yeah. I mean, when we started, we would look for people who are who've done something of their own. Maybe they've tried to build something. Maybe they've already they have some freelancing experience, maybe research experience, and we would qualify like that. Uh, these days, last 2 years, we've been extensively hiring interns. We hire interns. We see whether we work well together, and that's how we evaluate. We are looking for people who are entrepreneurial themselves. We honestly that's one of the major criteria, because tomorrow I don't have the bandwidth to see and micromanage, or like have complete oversight at all points of time on some new person. They need to be able to see a problem, solve it, and so we are looking for high agency people and people who are, who like picking up, they see a problem and they have to solve it, and they're driven by it. Obviously, people who are attached to a mission, that has been one of the key parameters as well. People who like what we are doing, they see the vision that we are painting. They want to see a world which is equal. They want to live in a world which is, a level playing field for children with special needs, and sighted children as well. So yeah, so that's how we have been working about this. Yeah, like that's how we hire, mostly by understanding whether we work well together.
Understood. And so here's another question with regards to consistency. Let's say once you get the idea and then you have the product ready, what do you do in terms of formal processing and behind the scenes that not everybody talks about? What is that one special sauce that you have acquired over the process of being an entrepreneur?
Wait, special sauce for what?
What is that one special thing? What really makes any company just go off the roofs?
Okay.
What do you think that X factor would be?
I would highly say, like, there is only one X factor. It is sticking through times when they're difficult. Just that. There will be tough times, and if you can stick through those, that's what gets you going. That's it. Just persistence. And I think a lot of people have spoken about this, and literally a company comes close to closing so many times, right? And and especially if you are from a good college and you've seen your peers do really well, it is difficult, psychologically speaking. And I think that's literally how that becomes a difference, whether you can stay on course or not, whether you believe in this or not. And I think it's okay, whatever people may choose, that it's okay. But yeah, the X factor is always just persistence. Plain, very, very plain. Sorry if there's no secret sauce that I can offer. But yeah.
So let's say if there is a student right now listening to us from a school, let's say from a college, what would you suggest? What would you like to tell them?
I would honestly tell them, don't look at the startup world and then be like, okay, I want to start up, and then look for things. You just first, I would suggest being highly curious about technologies and trends that are currently coming coming across, and engage with them somehow. Build small things, try understanding the pulse of the market, because a lot of it is just information. Like, there's an information asymmetry about a potential problem that exists in the market, and I've seen a lot of questions here about how do you find your problem, how do you do this, how do you do that, and how do you start the business, investors, all that. And I think the key aspect here is finding the problem, and the moment you've zeroed in on a problem, the second step is how do you test out your solutions really. So there, I would, my recommendation would, anybody who's listening to me right now, try building things and looking for problems that you. And I think you put it really well, Charan. Like, what would you be passionate about solving for the next 10 years? It's gonna take time. Can you go all in for 10 years at least? So that's how you should make these decisions. एंड ज़रूरी नहीं है कि सबको एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, सबको ही स्टार्टअप करना है. ये भी तो हो सकता है कि हम पहले सीखें. तो इफ़ यू वांट टू लर्न समथिंग, उसका आई ऑलरेडी सेड द बेस्ट वे ऑफ लर्निंग इज बिल्डिंग थिंग्स और selling things also. If you want to, you are of that bent of mind, try selling something. Yeah, we had the biggest shock when we tried to sell something. But yeah.
Aman, so this question is pretty prominent out there for someone working in a startup. How do you balance between your personal and professional spheres?
Oh, well, I'm going to be very honest. I've not had a personal.
I don't know why the voice is breaking. Is it for everyone as well? Is it for others as well?
Is it better now?
Yeah, a little.
Okay, I think I just went away a bit. Like this.
Okay.
Yeah, personal life does get affected. Because like it it does consume you. So when you're trying to do something like this, it will consume your time. Um, so in college also it gotten affected. Studies also get affected. So you need to be able to convince stakeholders around you, stakeholders being your parents at that point of time. Later you need to be able to convince anybody else who's on board, whether it's a partner or an investor, कि हाँ यार ये नहीं चल रहा है या चल रहा है, whatever is the problem. So um, yeah, my personal life does get affected, but as my new view of these things is that हाँ मतलब जरूरत है, like जरूरत तो है, सस्टेनेबल तो वही होगा जब when your personal life is balanced as possible. I think I see a question. Finding good investors is tougher than finding ideas. I think okay. One clarity: investors, very tough to find, but innovative ideas is completely different thing. Investor to tavi when only then you will be able to find, right, once you have a innovative idea. So yeah, business degree sure could be useful. CGP गैस कर लो, जो कौन गैस करेगा?
Okay, spam the chat. Spam the chat. What do you think about his CGPA?
Yeah, slightly around 7, 6.5, and 7. Wow, okay. Guys, 10 किस मैंने 10 कहाँ से हो सकता है यार? I just told you मैं पढ़ाई नहीं करता था. But yeah. Oh,
So
that's a
people
good
are
question.
asking this question. Would it be interesting to come up with a completely new segment and completely new idea, or should they follow a market which is already there and try to disrupt it? What would you suggest?
Oh, it really depends on your. So path-breaking solutions like Google, they entered a market which had so many players already, especially text-based search, and an existing market can get completely transformed if your solution can change that market, change the market behavior, all of that. So for example, with Annie also, the major thing we think is going to happen is in a developed country like the US, the literacy rate is around 10% currently. And our learning ecosystem, like especially with Annie, we're going to increase that 10% to more, because we are targeting the 90% who are not, for some reason, don't understand, who don't have the foundational skills. And because of increasing the number of people who will have foundational skills, we hope to increase the urge and the hunger to consume more content, learning content. So that's how we look at it. Ki, matlab, it really depends on your solution. You need to see your problem and whether the problem has been solved in a particular way or not, and then you need to, the solution that you're coming up with, that really needs to like कैसे आप डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हो, एंड वो क्या सोल्यूशन है, हाउ विल इट चेंज द बिहेवियर, एंड दैट यू शुड डिटरमाइन दिस. यू शुडंट ब्लाइंडली फॉलो कि हाँ वेब3 में बहुत सारे चलते हैं, तो उसमें प्रॉब्लम ये है कि maybe you will strike upon a good problem and solve it, but the chances are less because you need to be able to one, understand the space really deeply, to understand, have a hypothesis on how this will change them, like how will this particular solution change everything that people are doing. So that's one of the key things I feel you should keep in mind before taking that decision on whether to enter a certain kind of market or not.
Here's another question talks about, let's say, what are some of those early mistakes that you committed and then realized in an early stage?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
They're asking about the mistakes that an average founder commits in the early stage and then
Good question. Good question. You made so many mistakes, like with respect to estimation of how much time will it take to get to market, estimation of amount of effort required to take, amount of investment we wanted to raise. We have been wrong on many accounts. Like I can't even count at this point. So there will be mistakes. You will make mistakes, but you can't do anything about it. That is literally the part of starting a company. My age is 27. uh, that is a very personal question कि sweet spot क्या है फिर वो तो आप ही बताओगे ना you will only tell what is the spot for getting married. Okay, a lot of people have been asking about the follow passion wala question. uh, okay, so I think passion is, yeah, obviously it's like, sounds very much like Gary Vee, where just work hard, do X, Y, Z, hustle, all of that. So I think avoid all of that for sure. The passion is just high intensity on one, but concentrated on one thing, which high intensity and focus. Um, you the only way to find it is trying many things, and also seeing the response from the world, because oftentimes you may be passionate about something but the world may not want it, which is one of the most common things why companies fail or one products don't, so I would highly suggest trying different things, seeing, understanding the response, measuring it objectively. That's how you should find out, because um, I honestly, I differ from the philosophy of building something for the sake of building it. For example, um, research, right? People research for the sake of research, and I do think it's a very romantic idea कि अच्छा हम research कर रहे हैं because हमको science आगे बढ़ाना है, which is great. Obviously, people like that are required, but my view on this is one must be uh, like whatever you are building and working on must that's one of the key principles on how we have dealt with them, because of which we care a lot about the eventual system building of out of it. I found my co-founders on um and the
Aman,
way
your voice is breaking again.
sorry.
There was a little break in the voice again.
Oh, okay. I found all my co-founders in college, and the idea of Annie came via independent research project, which sort of was, let's just say, 1/5 of what Annie is today. Being a startup with no reach, how do you connect with people, brands to product, promote your product? I think that's something like you just gonna have to figure that out. Like you have to build your networks. You have to network with people, understand their incentives and why they would promote you, why they would promote you. So that's something you have to. And everybody starts from zero, right? So that's okay. That's something ever.
Aman,
Uh,
where did the name Annie come from? Like, what's the story behind it?
so Annie is actually Helen Keller's teacher, Anne Sullivan's.
Right.
Helen Keller is, in the special education needs community, a very very well known name, and Anne Sullivan as well. So Anne, that's why Anne and Annie. That's how Annie came up. Actually, Annie was one of suggestions, and one of our interns actually drove that way back in college, and we loved it. We were like, yeah, that's how Annie stuck. Like, yes, let's do it.
So, how did you meet Prathamesh?
Prathamesh is actually a power user of Annie. He's been using for 1.5 years now, and we deployed in a school in Pune. And that's where we met him, and we just recognized that this kid is absolutely brilliant. So we were like, what do you need? Do you need an Annie when you were at home? Yeah, he took an Annie. Yeah, that's how we met Prathamesh, and yeah, I think that kid's gonna go very 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 big for sure.
Understood.
I think
Aman, we've reached that last 10 minutes of the session. We can take questions, or let's say, what is that one thing on top of your mind right now? Let's say something that really fascinated you over the last few days.
um Good question. I think one thing that's been very fascinating is like I'm also been just thinking and brainstorming about how do we get to the um, next orbit. Like, what is the next orbit for Thinkerbell Labs, and how do we get there? And that's one of the major things that has been on our mind as well. Um, yeah, and because oftentimes you put one effort in one place, but something else altogether creates that super big event which sort of puts you in another orbit. So that's something I've been dealing with. The what you put in and what comes out, it's often very delinked. So yeah. I think a few questions I'd like to answer though. The product versus hardware versus software, right? Um, I think hardware requires a lot of skills, like specific. And why we did it because our problem requires a hardware solution. If there was a hardware which could potentially have a content and software, we would have chosen. But our thing required that delivery. So that's the reason why we chose. And I mean, and the exit strategy question. Honestly, when you pitch to investors, you are supposed to have an exit strategy. That's how they get their returns. So yes, theoretically speaking, we do have an exit strategy, and yeah.
Got it. So, so what is that next product or let's say next segment that you might be working upon
Mhm.
other than Annie?
So we actually want to get into SEND. We want to get into special education needs over the management of it, as well as the content plays that are potentially because we do think that education is a long and this is the status across the world. So whether it's an international school or whether it is a government school in India, nobody knows what's happening. And I think there's a lot to do.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's an interesting space we are looking at. We are also looking at employability with respect to so currently we're focused on foundational. Love to go increase go from there to um, you know go on to also help people get more employable. That's something we're also working on. um, Also, I don't understand how much money you have made. Very little money. Wow, how am I supposed to answer that question? How much money have I raised? How much revenue has Thinkerbell Labs made? How much money have I made? But yeah.
So, Aman, here's another question. Let's say before Thinkerbells, what was another company? Let's say your previous experience.
Mm-hmm. Um. Okay, so I started thinking directly from college, and my time was spent on either Project Mudra in college and then Thinkerbell. Uh, we did play around with the idea of helping students make college decisions, and yeah, I think we had a good MVP going. We had like a blog post and a website where people could see information about a college which was biased, you know uh, ad based basically, and that was the idea. So yeah, we did try that. Whoa, does college really matter? It's a very good question. I would like to take this instead. So yeah, I do think college as the way people um, tout college, like the degree itself may have a different meaning now than it had before, but the people that you meet and finding similar minded people who you can work with, that is priceless. I mean, it's very difficult to find. So I honestly think college is great for that. Wow, how many hours you used to work in a week? Hmm. Yeah, I don't think we count that, but Uh, yes, I do take a salary.
Can we sum up like everything saying in one sentence as education and bridging the gap of providing, let's say, this education as a basic necessity for everyone has driven you?
Yeah, yeah. We must ensure that everyone has equal access to education,
Right.
irrespective of ability and irrespective of where they live. So yeah, that's what we're working on.
Got it, Aman.
Hmm.
Aman, I must say, I really had this smooth conversation and it's a very fun one. What do you think? What do you think about the conversation?
Yeah, I really liked it as well. I am glad. I am very happy to see what you guys are, do learn. Very interesting. Um, yeah, yeah. I had a lot of fun. I hope you all learned something. I am sorry I couldn't answer a lot of questions. I will take those if you want. You can DM me on Discord. I will get I will respond to them in due time. But yeah, I'm really happy of the community you guys have built. Very proud, and uh, you can see the kind of impact that's gonna happen. So yeah.
Nice. Thanks, Aman. So, okay, before we end, I really want you all to react with that one specific emoji. What do you think about this event? What do you think about uh, Aman has been a great person to have a conversation with. Guys, react with your favorite emoji. Gifts are way more better. Go for gifts. All right, so that's it, Aman. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming. Thanks for considering.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for having me, Chan. Yeah.
Welcome. So, all the best, and we really look forward to see the company just like skyrocket.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really happy to see what you guys are doing. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.